Well, I was really obviously excited for everybody, and I liked from the time that we really sat down and had our first really in-depth conversation with Miles. It was apparent to us that what was important to him was the kind of program and team that he wanted to play with, and he talked about that. He talked about his team, and I really think he made that decision to come to Texas based on the guys that are here right now. When he came down on his visit and he was around them, I think he felt the chemistry and what was going on with these guys and the way they were themselves, and so I really think he chose the University of Texas because of what we have going right now.
That was a little different from a year ago.
Yeah, I mean I mean the turnaround happened with those guys, and they realized going forward they know what kind of team they want to have, and they know that anybody that our staff brings in here is important to us, and we've always told them that we've told recruits that when they come in here, we want you to spend time with our players and talk to them. And I think the fact that Miles alluded to John Holmes, it was easy to sense watching him and his and how Miles said that John can help him, and he can, and he should, and he will, because he's been through it 3 years now. But our guys, as a team, they know that Miles can help us continue to move forward the way we want to, and so they did their part, and they let him be known that they really wanted him to be a part of it.
How different is that from the past? You said they know what kind of team they want to have. How different is that with a team that kind of has that mindset?
Well, it's incredible when you got a group of guys as a whole that that they. I mean, every kid has the dream. I mean, every kid has it, and you want that. But this is part of the process of that dream, understanding that, one, the game that they love to play is a team game. You can't just have you can't have 5 guys. You got to have a team of guys wanting to do it, and they fed off each other this year. I mean, and sometimes you have to hit a very low spot before you can get that back. And I admire a guy like John Holmes, who for 2 years, it was hard, and he could have left, but he told us, he said, no, I want to be part of the solution here, and he has been a huge part of it, because it started a year ago before this past freshman class came in. So it's huge, and it gets back to players. I mean, and how it happened, I wish I could tell you, because if I knew, we'd never not let it happen. But it's just this group of guys have something about them where they, the way they reacted at the end of when we lost our last game, they came right back, and they know they want more out of it, and they've worked hard this spring.
Along those lines, was there a point where either John or Isaiah or any of them came to you and said, hey, we'll vouch for this guy. We need to get this guy. I mean, obviously, we all know that the talent-wise, but when the players came to you and said, hey, we really like him.
Well, that's important. When we bring guys in here, if I would tell you this, if we ever brought a recruit in and one of our players are players that we certainly believe in, if they threw up something like that, we would look at it. They said the other way, and when they come in, but I think that's a compliment to Miles too. I mean, here he came in, and he was very much himself, because we'd been around him as much as we possibly could through the recruiting, and we knew what he was about, and we knew that everything that he had, we wanted to be a part of this program. And so when he came in, I liked the way he mingled with our guys. I mean, but he would walk in here with you guys. He's very real, and he's a person that. Again, I mean, from the first time, he told us, I want to be a part of a team. That's the most important thing. And he never made it about himself. Like, I'm going to be a savior. I'm going to go in and demand this, demand that. He just said, hey, I know that you all have a program that works hard, and I work hard, and all he wanted to know, really, he said, if I work as hard as I can, do you think I'll have a chance to play? And I said, absolutely. I mean, he didn't say to us, I have to start, I have to do this, I have to do that, and those are the kind of players you want to recruit. I mean, they were just asking the same thing that I think that a year from now when we go out recruiting, they wouldn't want us to go out and promise somebody something that, and I've always said to people, I'm not going to say anything to a recruit that I wouldn't say in front of our team. And that's why it's important when they come to those visits that they get a chance to really get a feel for what it's really about.
As much fun as you had sneaking up on people last year, is it nice to have people expecting you to be good again?
Well, you know what? I know we're not going to let people define our expectations. And because we know that, I mean, last year people didn't think we'd be very good, and I'm sure people will expect us to be whatever this year, but I still don't think people will expect what we expect. And I'm happy for our program because, we had gotten in a position where, every year we were a team that was talked about as a, top 10 program, and when that's gone, you don't like it, but we knew what it took to get us there the first time, and we knew what it would take to get us back there. And we're not back there yet until we prove it, and I want us to be consistent. And that's what we had going for a while. We were in it, where we were consistent, and we could handle, losing guys maybe early to the league and things like that. But the fact is, we built a core. We got the core that we wanted. Now we've got to keep adding to that in the right way.
Whether you listen to it or not, though, when you bring everybody back and that a 5-star recruit, people are going to expect a lot more than, third season.
Oh, well, I mean, again, what I'm saying is they're not going to expect more than we expect. That's what I'm saying. I don't know what other people expect. I know what we expect, and our expectations will be higher than what anybody else sets. And but it's a new team. Every player on our team right now is going to have different goals than he had going into this year. We're going to be a different team. We're going to add 3 new members to the team. So we're going to have. I don't know what it would be, but I bet this is the first time. Scott might can tell us where we've had 13 recruited players on scholarship. I don't know how long it's been that we've had that, and so one that tells me we've got as good a class of walk-ons that we've ever had. So I do know that practices are going to be fun. It's going to help us get better. But we've never shied away from expectations. But all I'm saying is that ours will be higher than what anybody else sets.
With all the bodies that you guys have down low now, does this allow you to maybe redshirt somebody if it gets to that point, or is that something? At what point do you even take a look at that and say, hey, this gives us a chance to maybe redshirt somebody?
I don't know when you take a look at it. I think those type things play out. At this point in time, there's nobody on our team we're thinking that about. I like the competition. I think that's what it's about. But that's something that I think if you were going to do something like that, that's something I think would be decided before you played your first scrimmage game. If that's what was on your mind. But at this point in time, we haven't really thought about any of that.
Why did Miles catch your eye when he was 6'6"?
Do what?
When he was 6'6", why did he catch your eye?
Shoot it. He could shoot the ball. He's got really good hands. Can shoot it. And but as we've gotten to know him, you have to be impressed with his work ethic. He's very serious. He's a player that he's going to take care of his responsibilities. He has he's worked. It's really neat when you get to know a kid, and as you continue to watch him at that age continue to develop, and the fact that he still wants to be coached. That's the one thing he talked. The last talk that we had, he actually said, I want to be coached. I want to get better.
Watched him change from a kid who only a few other people were watching to a guy who's getting everybody's attention nationwide. Were you getting nervous that, hey, we got more competition for this kid, or were you excited to see what he was turning into?
Well, no, I think you got to go back and give our staff credit for that. Chris Ogden was the first one, I remember he said, Coach, there's something about this kid that I just think that we need to get after it with him, and just something about him. And as everybody got to look at him and see, there was no doubt that we're going to go with it. But No, in terms of recruiting, I mean, I think you expect, I mean, at our level, I mean, we went back to Jordan, I mean, the people that he was being recruited by. And so that, but in the recruiting game, you know it's never over until it's over. I mean, we've had calls in the past where coaches have said, you're going to get this, it's done, you're going to get them, and 6 hours later, we don't. I mean, that's part of the recruiting game. And so regardless of how good you feel about it, until it's announced and done, you don't celebrate about it. You're almost at a point where you don't even, you know, like certain guys like would text and ask what we're thinking. I know what we're thinking, but we're not going to say it because we don't want to jinx ourselves because we've seen it happen, whatever reason you want to do it. And, you know, I do think we had a good feel because, but again, we've had good feels in the past and it didn't happen.
And it's hard to peg guys coming out of high school. You know, we just see the stat line, you know, 18, 12, 6, whatever. But how would you describe him? You know, like everybody knows that Cam is a big inside force.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody knows what John can do. Everybody has defined roles. How would you describe him? Would you describe him as a banger inside, or a silky outside guy?
No, he's not a banger. He's not a banger. But what I do like about him, he plays. He can play in a tight space inside. I think he can do that. He can. He's definitely a player that will have to be defended from the 3-point line. He would because he can shoot the ball, and but he. Again, I don't know if people have really seen the fact that he can shoot a little right-hand, left-handed jump hook, and the speed will be an adjustment as it is for all kids coming in. You know, it's going to be a quicker game, faster game, but he's going to do his part to work at that. And you know, as we continue to develop his body, that's something that is a process too. You know, we're not going to try to bulk him up and make him a banger. We're not going to ask him to do that. He's not ready. We wouldn't do that. Yeah, do what?
That's probably not his temperament.
Well, I don't know. I don't think he's afraid to do that. But when you tell me about a banger, I'm talking about or Shaquille Cleary. They're going to get in there and they're going to throw their bodies at you. But he's going to, you know, he's going to give you some skill.
Do you see LaMarcus Aldridge type skill set?
Yeah, you know, Craig Wade just asked me that, and yeah, I could see that because the fact that they both have touch. You know, Miles' shot. You know, LaMarcus totally changed his shot when he got here, but he had touch, and you know, I used to kid LaMarcus about being in a dunk contest, and he said, "I only have one dunk. You know, I couldn't do anything with it," and Miles would say the same thing, I think, but that's. You know, not that I'm into comparing guys, but that would probably be a good comparison in the fact that, and you know, LaMarcus could really run. Miles is. I really like his basketball IQ too. He did some things as a player, as a high school player, where he was pointing where the ball should go, which you don't see very often. Which I did, you know, like that about him, but I'll go back. The best thing he kept saying it to us over and over, how important his teammates were, and that's he just wants to come in and do his part to be part of it. No, it's so hard during the summer because you know when they're in these tournaments and you know. But we put a lot of time in. The coaches and players did a great job. I will tell you, the assistant coaches did, and you know. Again, you know, it's there, but you I don't know how you address it because, you know, again, if you went back to LaMarcus, I think LaMarcus in his mind, that would have happened, but he got hurt, and you never know. I mean, how it plays out. But, I mean, it's still there until they change the rule, and I don't have a problem with it. I don't. I think that players have to do the right things for them, and when a player makes that decision, my only hope is that they've gotten all the information, the correct information, and so.
You know, there's been a lot of talk about the culture change, you know, and I know the kind of players that you want. It's not like you didn't go after one, but you go after Embiid, Randall, and now Miles, but it's
it's the core group. Like you go back to the core are going to be guys in the past like Brandon Mouton, Brian Boddicker, Royale Ivy, James Thomas. So, and when you add the piece, like you add a T.J. Ford, and then you're able to come back and say add a Brad Buckman who continues to be part of the core, but you know T.J. was 2 years and done, and then you even go back to the year that you know when Kevin Damian and Justin Mason and DJ came in, we were down to 3 or 4 players in the program, and I think we started 5 freshmen that year, 4 freshmen, and then Kevin left, and then DJ the following year, and but it's the core that you've got to have, and that's where there's no doubt I would speak of John Holmes and a guy like DeMarcus Holland, you know, Javon, Prince, those guys, Cam. I mean, I've said before, you know, Cam, Mom told me one day that Cam told her that a lot that happened to him his freshman year was his fault. And I think that's when guys can understand that and move on with it and want to make it right and do right with it. And that's what we had. That's what, so that our sophomore class, or what will it be, our junior class and one senior, that would be the core. And so if you and you prepare, I mean, you know, that's why a guy like Shaquille is a important piece, because he's there. I mean, really, if we have the kind of year that I like to have, everybody be talking about everybody leaving. I mean, that's the nature of where we are today. I mean, that's just. But what was great about this group, and I don't read the stuff that maybe a lot of people would read or players read, but not one time did I hear one guy this year talk about leaving. You know, it was never something that was brought up. And it was, I don't know what was on the message boards or whatever people might be talking about. From within the structure, I never heard it at all.
You got a lot of lineup flexibility.
Mm-hmm.
In a way, I don't know if you can ever have too much, but DeMarcus Hollins and your defensive glue and everything like that. But if you move Jonathan to 3, do you need another shooter like a Marquez, or do you use DeMarcus?
Well, yes, because I think DeMarcus plays the role of a Royale Ivy. I think that you've got to have that. I think a Jordan Barnett could play a huge role. I mean, we're going to need with so many people playing spread, you know, offenses where they're using, you know, step out fours, and a guy with Jordan's length and athletic ability, he's going to be flexible enough to do a lot for us. As you know, John we know can play inside, outside, but it's going to help him. His biggest adjustment will be moving out, will be playing defense and getting through screens as opposed to more of the, you know, just regular, you know, ball screen defense and playing inside. But yeah, but you got to have a guy like DeMarcus Holland. You've got to. I mean, if you don't believe me, ask Kevin Durant right now. I mean, that's exactly what Tony Allen's doing, and very few guys buy into that role, and that is a unbelievable battle going on between two fierce competitors in a game within itself. But you have to have somebody that at some point in time that you'd like to think you can just make it hard on the other team's best player. And
Not the shooter that
no, but you know what, Kurt? I mean, he's going to work at it, but that's never going to be his role to do it. I mean, I look at Royale Ivy. I mean, he was a huge part of the success we had here, and I don't know if Roy ever. I don't know the most points he ever averaged when he was here. Did he average maybe double figures one time? Maybe his senior year, I think, maybe. And
But in your mind, though, from what you're just talking about the different players and the matchups, it sounds like, correct me if I'm wrong, but you don't necessarily will have a quote-unquote starting 5, maybe like a starting 8 or 9. And it's just these are the first 5 guys we put out there. Well, like this year, you know, we knew without anything who the first 5 were going to be. Do you envision it like that, or is it?
yeah, I think the competition is going to be good. I think that would a lot will. You know, we're going to. I've always wanted to do that, and you know, we've tried to do it as much as we can. I think that I know this year's team didn't have a problem with who started. I mean, every guy started. Every guy on this team started at some point in time this year, and they went from playing. Some guys went from playing significant minutes and then not playing.
They'd earn it. They'd stay on the floor and earn it.
Yeah, and that's what it has to happen, and that's where the competition is good, and it helps everybody. It helps them. I mean, to get where they want to get, it's all about competition. I mean, that's you got to compete, and the guys that do it consistently are the guys that will consistently get the most minutes.
Can Miles handle the ball?
Yeah, he's a skilled player. Yeah, he can pass his skill. He can. He really can.
So he has a little bit of a unique skill set, I mean, for a high school player, because a lot of times, I mean, you don't see a lot of 7-footers with his level of skill offensively, but he's also, maybe the best thing he does is as a shot blocker on the defensive end, and that's not typically a pairing you see in one guy.
Well, I think what he does, I think he understands the game. I do. I think he understands the things he is supposed to do, and I think he takes really some pride in wanting to affect the game on both ends. It's hard when you're a guy his size. Think about his high school team. He didn't get much room to operate at all. And then when you go to these all-star games, guys like Miles very seldom get the ball. And but we've been around and we've watched him enough, and the fact is he can do a lot of things, and he does like to block shots. He does. He'll I think he'll learn what will help him too are the college post rules, and I think they're going to continue to clean that up a little bit even more, where you can bar up a little bit now. You can do some of that, which will help him, and because in high school you can't do any of that. So once he learns the rules and learns how to do that, he'll be that much more effective.
When did Coach Ogden tell you about it, and how hard did y'all hit it after that?
Well, we hit it. We hit it hard, about as hard as you can hit it. And
Was it you?
I would say about a year. It was a year ago when it's a little bit over a year because we're done with recruiting this time, And but I bet if you asked Chris, and I bet he didn't go too many days, if any, without talking to somebody or being involved and really trying to get us involved, because we wanted to. There was no doubt once we made that commitment to him, we wanted to go after it.
What do you expect from Kevin tonight?
I expect him to do what he does. He'll every night he'll compete. He's going to go at it. He knows that more than we do what it's about. He knows what he's going to see. He's seen more things, has gone more things than we can ever imagine. But he won't flinch. He'll play, and I hope he's making some shots. And if he is, maybe he won't get. He just got to get some room. He needs some space, and it's hard. He's fighting for it, but he's got a couple more guys on the other team that are going to make sure he's going to have to fight really hard to get it.
Westbrook play together. Westbrook seemed to have trouble coexisting at times.
I don't think that. I don't. Kevin would tell you. He wants to win, and he would tell you it takes more than he and Russell. He loved it when they had Harden, because it's hard when one team's loading up on you. And if somebody's loading up on you, you can't get it. You've got to. All you got to do is look at the Spurs. Think about it. Everybody thought Ginobili was done. He's been unbelievable. And one guy, they're defending really hard. The other guy might be having an off night. You need that third guy that can step up and get some points for you. Then those other guys have got to play their roles.
But didn't Kevin still defer too much?
You know what? I don't know if he does. I wouldn't say that. I think he's smart. I think he knows. I don't think he's going to throw up hope shots. I think when they talk about deferring, that's saying that if he doesn't shoot it every time he gets it, he's not going to do that. Because he realizes that there's guys on his team can make shots. He's not going, and he knows what a high percentage shot is, and he knows, and all those guys know when they're feeling it. They know, and they also know when it's not there, and they try to figure out another way to get it done, whether it's getting to the foul line. maybe the most surprising thing was he struggled a little bit at the free throw line the other night. That is, I mean, you're going to miss some shots, but on the free throw line, it's I guarantee he's upset about that as much as anything. That yeah, no, he doesn't. Yeah, he's locked in.
There's very few documented cases of the media ever being wrong. But what would you say about the Oklahoma City paper today? Huge photo of KD with a Mr. Unreliable headline.
Well, if I believed you guys, you all tell me that y'all don't make the headlines.
We don't.
So there was some idiot. What role does he play? Huh? The sports editor. So is he the one that makes the headlines?
Not usually.
Well, who makes it? Well,
West Palm Beach, Florida.
okay. Well, so if I were you guys, I'd be upset about it. You know, because they probably took one thing out of your story, as you all have told me in the past. So, I mean, what surprises me is that you guys can write an article, but you can't write a headline, and maybe that goes back to y'all's education. I don't know. I'm not sure. But
Needless to say, though, that photo of the paper is blown up on social media today. The sports editor has apologized for it. When we think of what KD has done for that city.
oh, no doubt.
Just,
You know.
What do you?
But I'm not sure. I think KD's a selective reader. I mean, I promise you, those things will probably hurt or bother people that are around him. It cares more than it probably. Yeah, I mean, it probably would. I mean, you know, that's how it happens. But he's not focused on that right now. I mean, and he really probably doesn't care. He realizes what we know, that you guys think you know what you're writing about, but you really don't. And obviously the guy that does the headlines really doesn't know. And but the fact that what is irritating to I think anybody is that you got to deal with it. You got to answer it. You know, does it bother you? Does it? And deep down inside, I'm sure it does, because of what you just said. If he steps back and looks at it, I can assure you he's not thinking about that today. I'm telling you, he's I don't even know if he's aware of it.
He actually said he agreed with it.
Did he? Well, you know what? I wouldn't expect anything from him. I mean, I wouldn't, because he's not going to duck it. I mean, that's what I'm saying. Talking about what you were talking about, expectations. Kevin's expectations are off the chart, and he does feel the responsibility. And when it doesn't happen, and I mean, I know he understands the game, but you still feel there's a way. Even when you're coaching a team that's not winning, you always feel there's a way to turn it. And I'm sure he knows that.
Because my point with you isn't it more fun to have people expecting you to win than expecting to lose?
Oh, yeah, it's no fun. Well, first of all, it's no fun. I mean, you want people to know you're good. I mean, you want to be in that class. You want people to know you're good. And you want people to know that when your team comes in, you know, people want to see this team. You know, you want people to follow you. You want people to get excited and say, hey, this team is, this team is somebody you want to pay to go see. So, there's no doubt. You want to be on top. But I think it helps you. I mean, I've always said when you're really, really good, and that means that you're prepared, and you have to be prepared or you're going to get beat, because you're going to get people's best shots. And so, yeah, I mean, I like it, and but it doesn't mean it's going to. You got to still make it happen.
So I got the favorites in the Big 12
Well, we'll let you guys figure that out. I mean, you guys did a great job this past year, the way you did it. So, again, I'm sure you guys will blame that on the copy guy back in the hotel, back then, I mean, I'm sure you'll pay somebody in West Palm Beach, picks,
Hey, Rick, on Katie's free throws, how hard is it to shoot free throws with Joey Crawford running at you?
You know what? That's when that happened, I was shocked by it, but I guess it's a rule in the NBA. I was in a conversation with Curtis Shaw today, as we're getting ready for the Big 12 meetings. And I just asked him, I said, "What happened there?" And he said, "There's a rule that I guess he saw something. I guess he looked up and saw something that, but once the shot's taken, you can't change whatever needed to be changed. You can't change it. So that's what happened. I'm curious. I haven't watched anything. What did they say about that? I mean,
Talking to some people last night, that refs have had problems with that scoring crew of Oklahoma City all year. They keep screwing things up, and so that's where it kind of came from. Is that they have a reputation as not being on top of their stuff. And so Joey saw that the foul was off, and he shouldn't have taken the ball away from Kevin. But if there was that previous issue.
Well, what it looked like real quick, and I didn't see it, but I thought the first time he looked like he was telling the coach that the coach was pointing up something like the team foul thing, and he looked up and saw whatever because I think
Had 14 fouls.
didn't he say put it back up or something like that or something. So, but what he did again by rule, I don't know how important it was with the game itself. I don't know, but
I think it would have, Memphis thought it would have had a foul to give, and they wouldn't have had a foul to give.
yeah.
Maybe watch the law play.
Some of it, I get to see the end of it because we've been out recruiting a lot, and that ended Sunday, and then I went on two of the speaking trips with Charlie Strong and Steve Patterson, and so I've gotten back late, but it's been that late game, and actually because of the overtime, I've gotten to see some of that. But
Were you guys literally holding the plane away from Miles' thing yesterday?
yeah, because we knew from ESPN that the show started at 3 and it's come on about 3:15.
So where were you sitting, on the plane or?
No. We left. Once I wanted to have a chance to speak to them real quick, but they thought they were going to be able to too, but the media messes everything up, and they didn't get a chance to do that. So I spoke to one person and just said I'd call when I got to down to McAllen.
Did he mess with you at all, Miles?
Mm-mm.
Your phone call?
I actually didn't get to talk to Miles till last night. I talked to his mom and dad earlier, and he was out, and I spoke to him when I got back actually last night.
You hear from other coaches, like they'll sell for something when this happens?
If I ran down, I probably got, I can't, 100 texts. I'm not a great texter anyway, but a lot of people, a lot of coaches, and a lot of people excited about, but it's what's neat about it is how it all goes back to this year's team. How it was just how they're excited about that, and then adding another, person that who the way Miles came across yesterday, and they'll be equally impressed when they have a chance to really meet Jordan and Shaq. I mean,
Did you get one from Self or
no.
anybody else in the conference?
Yeah, I did. Travis Ford and Scott Drew.
Really?
Hmm.
What's Scott's text say?
Just congratulations. Both of them, congratulations. Yeah.
Rick, Chris said on Sunday night, he got the feeling this was going the other way. Did he relay that to you? Did he tell you he thought?
Not until yesterday. I would have told him he was going the other way. No, he. You know what? When you're in his position, and the family, I do think that they was very conscientious in terms of wanting to give everybody a chance to, to be there. And ESPN told us that, you can't. They're not going to let them call anybody ahead of time, or otherwise, you guys want to try to get the story. And if you know his family, they're going to. If that's what's asked, they're going to do the right thing. And but the fact is, I mean, he stayed with it. But he didn't really tell me that because he'd tell you, I call him all the time, what's up, what's going on here. But but I think it goes back again. I know our staff worked hard too, but the players, even when he left here, he had connected with some of those guys, and those guys have stayed in touch with him too.
Did you get that indication at all?
What?
That this may go the other way, leading into this?
No, he didn't tell me. I mean, those guys are. I have great respect for what they have to do recruiting. I mean, it's a never-ending process, and they're up. Sometimes you'd be shocked what time of day they're up. Texting, talk, and they're anybody, everybody. If you think you guys were calling around trying to find something, you should have seen him. Everybody he knew. He was just hoping somebody. Because it's a year of work that he put there, and he did a great job of when he needed other staff guys to step in there, and and he put me where I needed to be when I needed to be, and told me what I need to do, and so when you're in his, you don't ever relax. I mean, even days when he felt good about it. He knew that once the sun came up, it was going to be just can't take it for granted.
Did Miles sign before you start your home schedule?
No, he actually, after he saw it, he said to me, Coach, he said, that schedule's unbelievable when you think about that we're going to have to go to New York and play some teams and waiting on the Southeast Conference thing. And he said, I don't know how somebody could write that it's a soft schedule. He said they goes back to some people don't have a clue. And I said, are you talking about Kurt Bowles? He said, it's the guy with the beard. You know? I said, and he said to me, Coach, do you think he likes that beard? I said, well, have you ever seen him without it? You know?
I don't know how you ever got Lipscomb.
Yeah.
I promise Lipscomb to get it.
Obviously,
You know what, Kurt? You guys ought to get Kurt to get other schedules in the country and look at them and see if other teams. I mean, I think he wrote about Mercer wasn't very good, and who was it? Stephen F. Austin. I mean,
Mostly I said y'all weren't gonna.
yeah, but you talked about those guys. You know, I don't know on the schedule who's going to be. I know Long Beach State's a good team, and I know that we would have played North Carolina again this year, but they had to back it up because they had a commitment that something that came up that they had to do. And Roy point blank said to me, he said, if you don't want to do it, this is important that we do this, but if you don't want to, but we talked about backing it up and continuing the series because I appreciate the fact that he was willing to do what he did years ago to go home and as opposed.
Michigan State, or would that come back?
I don't know. Again, their situation was as their league expanded and the Connecticut thing's back on next 2 years, right? Do what?
Is the SEC game going to be here?
No, we'll be on the road.
What do you think about the game in China in a couple of years?
I think it's great. I think what Steve is doing is great. I think that he realizes that we've got the best brand in intercollegiate athletics, and he understands the market that's there, and I like to travel, and I think I do think it's a great educational trip. I mean, I know I'm excited about it. I mean, just thinking about having a chance to travel to a place I've never been, and you look ahead. I mean, you see how people are getting creative. You think about the thing that the athletic director at Michigan State's put together with 4 teams going to start in New York. I mean, I think you're going to see more people get creative like that, and the fact that even when we go up to play in the big the field night tournament, I mean, just the fact that we're a school that people want in those type things, but it's hard sometimes with again, just like the thing with Roy. I'm not sure exactly what it was that do you know what it was? It was something that they wanted to do. If they didn't do it, somebody else was going to do it, which they needed to be the team to do it. Just like I go back years ago when we played the first game in the stadium up in Dallas at Jerry Jones Field. That if we didn't do it, they're going to get somebody else. But we had to be the team. We're the state university, so he was in a situation like that. So, but our schedule every year. We're going to, we want it to be as compared to what all the top programs in the country have, and sometimes it just doesn't work out as much as you try to get out in front. Now, if it's up to Jerry, he'd do like in football. He'd schedule 10 years out there, which you can't do that either because of some of these things that keep coming up.
You gonna start recruiting in China?
I would, I'll recruit anywhere now. I mean, we've had obviously a lot of international players, but it's different. Every country is different there. I mean, you all kept up with the Yao Ming thing. I mean, I think from the time he was young, he belonged to some organization, so had to be a situation where someone had not been in some organization where they basically have paid them and taken care of them.
Last one?
Shaquille Clear, obviously he can't help you this year, but he's a guy that you guys recruited really hard coming out of high school.
Mm-hmm.
And what are you guys getting in him moving forward?
Physical. I mean, he's a big body that great hands and very strong physically. And but again, he's a player that has improved where he can step out 15, 17 feet and shoot the ball. And but he's we're again. You're right. We recruited him hard and wanted him, and so we're excited once we found out he wanted to leave and or decided he wanted to transfer, and we were the first place he wanted to visit. And he and Isaiah had a relationship, and I think that speaks volumes in the fact that you go through the recruiting process when you're the team that everybody's thinks going to get someone. You'd be amazed some of the things that people say, and I thought it spoke volumes that Shaquille wanted to come to Texas and play with his friend, but you'd have to believe that if this wasn't the place that a player like a guy like Isaiah didn't think it was the perfect place, he would have told one of his best friends, "You don't want to do this." But from the beginning, he said, "This is where you want to be."
How much does I know he's got a little bit of rawness still left to him. How much does the transfer year help him in terms of you don't have to throw him out on the court immediately? He can spend that whole year kind of working on the game before he has to.
I've never known a guy that set out and not help him if he works and does what he needs to do, which he's going to do that because he's around a group of guys that, I mean, you almost have to fall in and work. So it's going to help him, and I think the time he spends with Todd's going to be really important for him. I think the fact that he is going to again, he's competitive. I mean, when we saw him in high school, he's a guy that wanted. He's not afraid to mix it up at all, and so I think it's going to really help him tremendously to have another year, if nothing else, to develop some more with his offense. But the biggest thing will be getting himself in really great shape.
Can you sell any tickets now that you had a good year at Miles Turner signing?
Yeah, I mean, there's a buzz. There's no doubt about it. I mean, I could sense that, but I sensed that as the year went on. I could tell people are. I mean, I've had so many people once we started early telling me how much they love watching these guys play, and he talked about they love the fact that they want to. They're a team. But what I like most of all is it's people that's had a chance to be around these guys. They speak about how good of people they are and how they, and we've allowed people to, get to know these guys, and we want them to. But I think these guys this past year, they're the ones that they've created the buzz, and certainly the guys that we've recruited and Miles. I mean, again, a lot of people were watching that, talking about it last couple of days, but it goes back the players. They got it started, and I like it, and kind of what Mike's talking about, that expect I want people to get excited and be here, be a part of it, make it better than everybody talks about the teams that year in and year out that win. They have such a great home court advantage, and you have to deal with it, and we need that. And so I'm excited, and I do know this past year the students were as good as they've been in years. I mean, it was a lot of good things going on there. We'll have to deal with this issue going on outside the building, but that's part of progress and change. And but I know that Steve Patterson knows it. I think his experience in the NBA is going to be a tremendous asset to us with what he has, just from the inner workings there, but what it takes to create the kind of atmosphere that we need to create here. And so I'm sure he'll use that experience, and I think he already has, to be honest with you. I think that's what made some of the games at the end of the year. You could feel there were things different. I can tell you that. I could tell when I walked out there were just some things that had gone on that I hadn't seen in years, and so I knew something had happened somewhere.
Thanks, guy.
Okay.